I think we have on Zoom right now former State Rep Ryan Winkler. Yep, there he is, joining us right now. Thank you for being with us. You know, the script certainly has flipped today from politics to just caring about humanity at this point and remembering those who have been shot in this horrible situation. Your thoughts at this point about everything?
It's the loss of Melissa Hortman as a friend is devastating to me. And Mark, her husband. I've been very close with both of them for a lot of years. We served closely together, and when you serve in that way, you become like family. And I can't hardly process what's happened and feel so horrible for their family too.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, I'll just call her Melissa. I mean, we're so used to saying Speaker Emeritus and colleague, but also we want to remember her as Melissa. Tell us something you think we should know about her.
Well, I mean, she was funny. We love to share kind of our thoughts on some of the more ridiculous things that happened at the state capitol. And we both shared a commitment to try to make the state better. Melissa cared so much about the health and safety of people who were working at the legislature, whether it was members of the House or staff or the public. And she really went all out to protect everybody during COVID. She was up all night during the George Floyd protests, making sure that we could do everything we could to keep people safe. And for this to happen to her is just so deeply unfair. She was so dedicated, so concerned, and so thoughtful. It is just the most horrific tragedy.
Oh, it is. And were you familiar with Senator Hortman, and what do you know about him?
Senator Hortman, Yvette, their family, they were tireless advocates on especially disability related issues. John was gregarious. He loved to talk with people. He loved to connect with people. It was a real whole family enterprise serving in the state Senate. And I'm hoping and praying that he and his family will come through this. He certainly is a bright light. And, people who are there, they're there for the right reasons. They're trying to serve. They're trying to make a difference. They're neighbors. They're family people. These are Minnesotans. These are not, political caricatures or, sort of your generic Democrats. They are people who serve are there because they care, and they're regular people just like you and us, you and me.
Mr. Winkler, if we can have you just hold on for a minute. We're going to go to our newsroom real quick. We have some new information on the suspect in this case. So for that, we're going to go to Fox 9's Tim Blott, standing by in the newsroom with what he can tell us about the suspect. Tim?
Well, yeah, Amy and Karen, the Associated Press is now reporting, according to anonymous sources, that the suspect that they're looking for in this case is Vance Luther Bolter. He's 57 years old. He has a PhD in education, and interestingly enough, he's been appointed twice by Governor Tim Walz as a private sector representative to the Governor's Workforce Council, once in 2016 and then again in 2019, with that term expiring in 2023. Now, here's the interesting part. And if this is in fact true, the guy that they're looking for, according to the Associated Press, it is. He is the director of security patrols at Praetorian Guard Services here in the Twin Cities. So, according to their website, again, this is Praetorian Guard Security Services, as director of security, he is involved with security situations in the Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and Middle East, including the West Bank, Southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. He has worked for the largest U.S. oil refinery company, the world's largest food company based in Switzerland, and is the world's largest convenience retailer based in Japan. So an extensive security background, and that he worked for security guard services here in the Twin Cities. Things are starting to line up in terms of the security car that was found at the scene. scene in terms of what the suspect may have been wearing when Brooklyn Park officers confronted him coming out of the Hortman home here very early this morning. Now, apparently he's also had some contacts here with Minnesota Africans United. And according to their website, he majored in international relations at St. Cloud State University, has his master's in management along with his doctorate from Cardinal Stritch University in Milwaukee. So that's what we know about the suspect at this time. Again, his name is Vance Luther Bolter. He is a suspect, according to the Associated Press, that the manhunt is on for right now, still not in custody, but he is considered armed and dangerous. And in fact, in that entire area, Amy, as you and Karen have been reported on this morning, they're asking people that he is by himself, and if he approaches a door, do not answer, call 911 to verify that that it is a police officer that is at your door. So that's what we know at this point. Amy, Karen?
Okay. Interesting.
That was a lot, Tim.
Right.
Would you mind just kind of going back to the beginning and walk us through just like the couple of things that we know about him, as far as, I don't know if we have that graphic still up, but there were a couple of things that kind of stood out to me right off the top here.
I was going to specifically about the security, his involvement with security.
Right, and that's why I said a lot of this will line up to you and our viewers, because it was a black Ford Explorer with emergency lights on top. Very much looked like a police car. And then you had the chief, the Brooklyn Park police chief, in the news conference this morning saying that when their officers approached the scene, this suspect came out of the door wearing a dark police uniform, wearing a taser, wearing body armor, wearing a badge. And the chief said, if you and I were standing in this room, you would not know that he was not a police officer. So this tends to line up, if he does come from a security background, that this suspect would have access to those uniforms and that particular vehicle that was parked in the Hortman's driveway.
Can you talk about who he was working for?
It's Praetorian Guard Services, P-R-A-E.
And what is that?
It's a security guard company here in the Twin Cities.
But you said they did some work around the world in Africa?
He did work.
He did.
According to his bio on the site, he has been involved with security situations in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and the Middle East, including the West Bank and southern Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. So apparently he has a very broad security background, not just here in the States, but in some of the hot spots around the world.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And then also just really quickly here, I know this is coming in fresh to you too, and you may not know, but if you could look into a little bit more, part of, in 2019, that would be Governor Walz at the time, Workforce Development Board?
Workforce Development Council.
What is that?
Well, what these do is they tend to advise the administration on workforce issues, whether it's recruitment, whether it's mostly workforce strategies, how to recruit people, how to train people, and he would have been served twice on this particular board. So I find that very interesting that he was a gubernatorial appointee who obviously had ties to the Walz administration in the past as a private sector individual. And that was made very clear on the governor's proclamations that are part of the public record.
And we don't know if he had, in his dealings when he was on that board, if he had direct dealings with Melissa Hortman or Senator Hoffman.
We have no way of knowing. A lot of times what these boards do is they meet, not privately, oftentimes in public, but they meet separately from the legislative issues that are going on at the Capitol.
Okay. All right, Tim, and I know we're working on a photo of this suspect, Vance Luther Bolter. 57 years old. I know we're working on a photo. We'll try to get that out to you, but certainly some incredibly interesting information. But really, we still don't really have any answers as to motivation here.
No, absolutely not. Other than, and Karen, you would speak to this too. It is very rare when the State Patrol or investigative agencies will release pictures of evidence at a scene.
Right.
And the evidence that they released a picture of the pieces of paper inside the vehicle here this morning, with obviously it was handwritten in a magic marker. King's rally, that they disclosed that they had found this evidence in there as part of their reasoning. This it right here, no Kings. To disclose evidence from an active scene like this is so unusual for law enforcement, but it speaks to the urgency as to why they did not want people to go to these rallies here today, especially the big one at the Capitol, where the governor, the lieutenant governor, Keith Ellison, a lot of our leading elected officials in the state of Minnesota were scheduled to appear at noon.
Okay, Tim. Sorry, we're just processing here in real time. A lot of details there. I think maybe why don't we take a break, let you kind of get back to finding out some more information. Do we still have Ryan Winkler on? Okay, thanks, Tim. We'll keep in touch with you here if you get more information, but I guess we still have former lawmaker Ryan Winkler on with us. Sir, you're learning this as we're learning this. Maybe you had some information ahead of time, but if we could just get your reaction here.
It sounds, based on the information just shared, that this is an individual who has a lot of professional experience and would be well positioned to understand vulnerabilities and carry out an attack like this, which is all the more concerning and worrying for elected officials who are not used to facing a threat like this. And I think it underlines how much this is an emerging situation today, and people need to be cautious today and be paying attention to what could happen. And I know that's why the governor has encouraged people not to participate in rallies. It's a day to focus on being safe. And
Okay. All right.